Marvels Avengers DLC is going to be dropping on March 18th, and we're going to deep dive the Marvels Avengers War Table that just finished up. We're going to do that right now. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. I'm Matt. Welcome to Assemble. How you guys doing? Today we are going to talk about the Marvels Avengers War Table that just finished up, and we're going to talk about the next gen updates, what the Hawkeye DLC looks like, and kind of our thoughts and opinions on the event itself, that 9-ish minute event that we just went through, and see what you guys think about what is going on with Marvels Avengers as a whole, and where do you think we're going to go with the future content. First bit of news that I do want to be able to highlight is, number one, the Hawkeye DLC is coming to Marvels Avengers on March 18th, so we are still a month away for the next round of DLC. It's been a long wait. A long time. The other piece of good news though is that we are actually going to be getting your next gen update, and that patch update is on March 18th as well. So for PS5 and Series X owners, we're actually going to be getting that nice, I assume, full next gen ray tracing and all of the updates that we can get for the next gen consoles coming on you at March 18th as well. Okay, so we've had the Kate Bishop DLC. We are getting that comic book style where they're doing more of like the issue style of Marvel's Avengers where they're dropping DLC content. We got Kate Bishop's DLC, which was good. I enjoyed Kate's mechanics and how it all played with her, but I haven't gone through and like got her up to max 150 or anything like that. I've kept it really simple with her. For a character that I developed, I kind of basically did her story, mainlined it, did some extra missions, and then I was pretty much done with Kate Bishop. So the Hawkeye DLC is a little bit more exciting in my opinion. We are getting our glimpse of Wasteland, so we are going to be getting a whole new section of the map, which is actually good news, so we can finally change up some of the robots that we're going to be fighting and some of the bosses that we're going to be doing for those boss battles in a whole new area of the map. This is going to be good because it's going to freshen things up hopefully a little bit more and not feel as samey as we've gone through with previous missions. See, with Kate's DLC and Kate Bishop DLC, guys, as you remember, we didn't get any new like worlds or areas on the map. We were treading back into the exact same mission areas that we experienced in the core game when it first came out. The Hawkeye DLC at least gives us a glimpse of going somewhere else with this versus staying in the exact same zones, which is nice because I didn't see an elevator and I didn't see a corridor. I saw Wasteland and I saw it's open. So it's going to be more of an open map. So they're doing this more in the chapter style where like this is going to be the next chapter of the entire series and kind of saga for this DLC that's getting kind of planned out. And I say planned loosely. We get a glimpse that Maestro is the alternate version of Hulk and all of that in the comic book series, where they did touch on that. Maestro and this other dimension Hulk is going to be basically your boss that you're going to be fighting in the DLC itself. What I don't want to happen, and let me know what you all think in the comments below, but do you think that this is going to end up being a Abomination boss battle again, just reskinned and done that way? Seriously hope it's not. I hope that we're going to get something that's going to be a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger with that. Based on the cutscenes and what they were showing us through this whole war table, it seems like they have a good fleshed out story, and I'm actually excited to go through Hawkeye's story and this whole campaign with him, because I like to see what it's going to lead to next. And I think that's one of the biggest challenges with this game, is not knowing what the roadmap is and not knowing where they're headed down the road when it comes to Black Panther. Don't get me started on Spider-Man content. We don't have anything else that's really in the pipeline. What was missing with this war table was just that, the future of this game. Seeing Hawkeye and understanding what this is going to look like in the Wasteland, going into the alternate dimensions. It's another chapter in this whole story and saga. But what I was hoping for at the end was not so much like, hey, here's your Spider-Man teaser, and not even necessarily getting like maybe Black Panther is the next DLC piece to drop, because maybe you want to save that for the actual story, and maybe there are Easter eggs, or maybe it is actually built into the end of that chapter that we're actually going to get the next bit of DLC, and maybe that's why they didn't want to show anything off. But I really would have liked to have seen a roadmap. The problem that I have right now is that with this game and what we just went through right now with the announcement of all this DLC on March 18th and the system updates, we are now having to wait another month. When this DLC was supposed to come out before the end of the year, we're supposed to get this actually in 2020, this has all been pushed out now until March. We knew that this war table was coming today, and now we have to wait another month to be able to get our hands on it, plus the update. What would have been good fan service, I think, is that if they were able to, would have been to actually either drop this DLC tomorrow or next week. And if you couldn't pull that off, maybe at the very least you push those next gen updates now so you can get a little bit ahead of it. So you can get players back in and start getting people, maybe even new players, to jump in, go through the story, and by the time they beat that and they go through some of the online, you're getting the next round of DLC with Hawkeye ready to go for new players and people that want to be able to jump into, you know, their PS5 version of the game and maybe go through it again. But this is one of the core fundamental problems that I have with the title right now at this point and this late in the game, is that you're getting these little drops. You're getting droplet and droplet of content and news, and you're waiting, and now you're waiting another 30 days to be able to see what's coming next. And don't get me wrong, Hawkeye looks great. And to speak on this now with all of you is that I think that some of the exciting pieces is how in-depth his skill tree looks. I think that that's where Marvel's Avengers really does shine, is that once you get past the basics and the introductory pieces of, you know, leveling up your character, you really start to beef them out and they really start to get some cool moves, finishers, combos. And I think that that's what we saw with Hawkeye, is that there's a lot of love and care and attention to building out the character to make them feel unique and make them feel like they stand on their own. I was worried that this was going to be a Kate Bishop reskin. It seems like they are doing obviously some elements of that because of the bow and arrow, sword, those elements, and some of just the agility that Hawkeye has as Kate does. But I think it's really cool that we are getting like tons of different weaponries, like skill trees that you can be able to boost off with Hawkeye, to be able to have, like, you know, shooting arrows and bombs, to be able to tag all of, you know, the robot enemies and be able to hit multiple enemies at once. I think there's a lot there if you really want to be able to play Hawkeye and flush him out. I think that they can do a lot there with Hawkeye. But I worry that because we don't have a roadmap of where we're going to be with this game in the next month and the 3 months and the fall, what's next? Unless it's hidden within the game and this piece of DLC content, as soon as it drops, everyone's going to know exactly what's going on. We already have the trophy list that's already been, you know, launched, revealed and everything. So we know that this was coming, this was planned. So this DLC is baked and it's ready to go, but they're not ready to release it for another month. And that's the challenge that I have with this game, is not seeing what the roadmap is going to be like and where we're going to end up next. Do you feel excited about getting your hands on Marvel's Avengers for the first time or as returning players? Do you think that the Hawkeye DLC did anything for you? Do you feel like you're going to just play it and be done with it? I have no real reason, and I think a lot of people in the community say this too, I don't have a lot of reason to go and, you know, play as Hawkeye and then max him out all the way and grind him out, because you don't even know what's coming next and really what's the end game, and there's no end game content. And that's one of the other downfalls of this event, guys, was that, you know, we didn't highlight not only a roadmap of where we're going to be, but we didn't see anything. They didn't mention raids, end game content. Like, we don't have anything else going on aside from they just wanted to be able to push out this DLC content on Hawkeye. And I think for the player base that is still sticking around and being there all the time, I think what we were hoping for was not to be blown out of the water with a million different things. The next gen update's cool, the Hawkeye DLC looks good, but I think that we were hoping for a little bit more content and getting that reassurance that we were going to be getting more love and attention into this game. I'm concerned that we're going to get this content released throughout the next year to 2 years, and it is going to be just trickled out bit by bit every 3 to 6 months. But doing the announcements where it's going to be like in a month from now doesn't really work for me. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Excited for the Hawkeye DLC? Excited for what you're going to do with that piece within the story missions? Are you going to play as Hawkeye for a long term? Is this enough to get you back in the game long term to grind out more content, even though we don't really know where we're going to be with this, you know, even in a couple of months from now? Because once we finish up in March, that's going to take you to April and May, and we don't know what's coming next. I think that if they really want to be able to get ahead of this, that they need to launch the Hawkeye DLC and start talking to people in the blogs, into the community about what is coming up down the road. Thank you guys so much for watching. And as always, thank you all for assembling with us. See ya.